So basically my dad had lung cancer, and he was always like, I'm going to fight this, and we were all right behind him, and we tried really hard to fight it with him, and we all sort of came together as a family unit to try and do that. But the cancer unfortunately spread to his brain and his spine, and he ended up with spinal cord compression. So he collapsed at home and he was no longer able to walk. So he went up to hospital, and for me that was a massive shock, because he'd always been like a very strong, he's my dad, he's like the strong man in the family. You know, you'd always go to him for support. Even when he had cancer, he coped with it really well, he coped with chemo really well. So you kind of kid yourself that everything's kind of alright. So when he collapsed, it was a massive shock for me and really upsetting at the time. And he was in the hospital, and the word hospice was mentioned to him, and he didn't like that word, and that was kind of quite difficult as well, to kind of get him around the idea that hospice can help you, really. It doesn't have to be you're going to die tomorrow sort of thing. You can go in there to get help. So anyway, he came, he had an assessment, and we convinced him that, well, the nurses convinced him that the hospice would be a good place for 2 weeks to go. So as soon as he arrived, it's such a calm place to come, and it's bright, it's airy, it's not like the intense atmosphere where there's like loads of people and medical staff and loads of things going on in a hospital. You don't really know where you're standing and what you're doing. And to come here was a relief, I should say, because you've been with that person and you've watched them fight their hardest. It's kind of like to have the nurses at the hospice support and love and care for somebody that you really care about is just so nice, and it's such a relief. Like the relief in my dad's face to see, like, after a couple of days, when he was first admitted, he was still very drugged up, but after a couple of days they sorted his medication out, he was a lot calmer. His one thing was that he loved food, because he was on a lot of steroids, so he had big plates of dinner, and that was his kind of thing that he really enjoyed, that he could still enjoy. So, you know, loads of food and loads of care. He was able to have a bath, which he wasn't able to do at home. So his eyes sparkled again. And for me, it was like, after him fighting so hard to kind of get rid of this awful thing called cancer, to have that kind of care and love and support that he so deserved after trying so hard meant the world to me. And also the fact that we were able as a family to come together, and we were given the time to enjoy each other, rather than it being us trying to care for my dad and, you know, look after him. We didn't really know where to turn. It's a massive thing. You don't really know. It was the first kind of, I mean, my grandparent has died and my aunt has died, but the first close death for me. So it was like, how can I help? What do I do? And to come here, you're given that kind of support of, this is what you can do. This is what you can do in a positive way to help your dad, even though there can't be a cure for him and eventually he will die. Let's enjoy that time and make it the best that we can for him.
And what's the most...
Sorry, I'm going on.
But what is the most special memory that you've got where you felt that you actually managed to have some quality, fun time with each other?
There's lots, really. I mean, the first 2 weeks he was here, he was sorting his medication out, and his one thing was that he really wanted to go home, because his house was his kingdom. So with the support of the Hospice at Home team and the physio here and the nurses, we all sat down and talked about it, and it was decided that the Hospice at Home team would support my dad coming home, and me and my mum would be able to do that with the help of them.
That's lovely.
To get him at home and to see his face when he got home, and he grabbed me and my brother's hands and he was like, thank you, you know, we've done it. And he was so happy, and he survived for another 3 weeks at home when they thought 48 hours he might have been gone. He survived for 3 weeks with the support of Hospice at Home, which I'm not sure a lot of people know about, so they really, without them we couldn't have done it.
As a family.
As a family, and also the special times of being able as a family to have people come here. He liked beer, so he had a can of box of Fosters by his bed, and he was able to come and enjoy the garden get out in his wheelchair, enjoy the garden with some family members, have a beer and a sandwich or a salad or something, and enjoy time like that. But I was here a lot of the time, and I got to know the nurses, and it wasn't like I was in the way. They talk to you as if you're a normal person, and they get to know you as a person. So you feel like you've got a relationship with them that's not just purely based on medical, you know, treatment and things like that. It's actually you as a person, and you know, you and your dad as a person and what you share together. And some of those times I'll never forget. And it's a sad time in someone's life, but everyone has to die, and the hospice makes that so much easier because they provide you with care and love and support, and they also provide you with a special time that you can have with your family, that can come together and say goodbye, but also mourn the loss of somebody, but celebrate them as well.
That's lovely. Thank you so much.